All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Monday Night Football Showdown show here on the Ship It Nation YouTube station. Make sure to tap that thumbs up on the way in. Subscribe to the channel. We got a ton more shows coming your way. And we were just talking pre-show. I got the boys title Hoop here with me as usual, but we were just talking pre-show. The news came out last night if you didn't see it, but there will be a two-gamer on Saturday. So there's a two-game slate coming up. That'll have a nice showdown slate, I'm sure, for Saturday night as well. We've got the Sunday main slate, which is beautiful because it's split pretty much equally. So if you like AM only, if you want to play PM only, both, all three with the main slate, whatever you want to do. And then, of course, the crazy game to end the season that I'm super excited for, but the AFC North battle as the Ravens go into Pittsburgh now with a real shot. Shout out to Cleveland yesterday getting the job done and Aaron Rodgers being scared to take that sack and preventing his team from winning. So that was incredible. Really good stuff over there. Hoopster, what's going on, my man? Week 17, final game of the slate. We got Rams at the Falcons. Going to break it all down, of course. But how you doing, my friend?
Doing well. Yeah, yesterday, interesting. I mean, I guess the one thing, it only leaves us with, three maybe meaningful games, and they took two of them and put them on Saturday, which creates another small two-game slate. We always talked about it, get towards the end of the season. And, you see a lot more of these split slates. They took two of the two most important games. Well, there's three important games, and they took two, put them on Saturday, and then Sunday night, obviously, for the Steelers and Ravens. And nothing else really matters in terms of games from here on out. So, that's one thing to definitely take note of. Even tonight really doesn't matter all that much. I mean, the Rams are pretty much locked into the 5 seed. I think I saw something's like 70% chance they're going to be the 5 seed. So not a ton to play for, but I mean, I think they still, give it a go here. Obviously, with Stafford going for like the MVP and that sort of thing. But yeah, it should be fun. I mean, in terms of like here on out, freaking wide open, man. Like it is, to me, it's absolutely wide open. And if I was going to take like money and put it on one team, I have no idea who the hell it would be to win this whole thing. And that's going to make it fun, really from here on out all the way through the Super Bowl. So I am looking forward to, the next month and a half here of football. It's going to be a lot of fun, kind of seeing who rises to the top and makes a run here, because it's more wide open than I've seen in years. We've had these dominant teams like the Chiefs, and before that it was the Patriots, and kind of always knew they were going to be in the mix. I'm just not seeing that this year. So looking forward to the final stretch here, and looking forward to talk through this game with you guys here tonight. Yeah,
I think the playoffs is gonna be a lot of fun, like you said, because we have the unknowns this year. That's what makes it so exciting. Like I was looking at it last night. These odds are just brutal as usual, almost like touchdown odds, but the Ravens are like 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. And they still have to win a damn game to even get to it. Have to go into Pittsburgh and win and then get into the playoffs before they'd even have a shot at it all. But it's just how wide open these things are. Obviously, a lot of challenges over on the AFC side of things, but even the NFC is pretty crazy this year. Quickly, though, you said it. Not so fast, my friend. There's a wild card weekend Monday game, actually. It says as of right now, January 12th, the Monday, will be the last game of the wild card weekend. So you'll get to see us on another Monday. You'll still see us on a lot of Fridays and Saturdays and stuff along the way. Lots of good shows still coming through, but I put the trials up on board. You don't have to get it today if you don't want, but of note, I would want to be involved at Ship It Nation on Saturday. We crushed during the preseason, and this Sunday is very much like a preseason. You mentioned it, Hoop, with a lot of unknowns, a lot of randomness, and with tons of split slates. Like if the early only should be good contests, the afternoon only should be good contests, equal size, pretty close in games. I think it's like 7 and 6 for 13 games total. And then of course, getting ready for the main slate. So definitely a good time to get involved. Title, bring you in, man, rounding out week 17. How you doing, my friend? What's going on?
Doing well. What a game we got treated to last night. I mean, the offense, both offenses could not be stopped. San Fran and the Bears, excited to see what they got to offer in the playoffs. Just before that, the Bills game, I mean, McDermott, fire his ass right there on the spot. There's no chance you should go for two in that spot. They would have been probably 70, 75% favorites going into OT if you just kick that field goal. 17 yards in the second half, and yeah, you decide to do it on one play. Makes absolutely no sense to me. These coaches remain donkeys, so that's going to be important. If you're picking teams in the Super Bowl and the playoffs, it can come down to one or two decisions based on the coach. And yeah, sometimes even Ben Johnson. I love Ben Johnson, but I think his decision not to take a timeout and they hurried up. It was like 45 seconds, 55 seconds. I think that costed him a little bit. Allowed just one play for the game, and I think he could have had 2 or 3. So very little things to add up, though, when teams are very closely matched, like we'll see in the playoffs. But yeah, tonight we have 2 of the best players in the NFL, Bijan and Puka. So this one could be fun as well.
Yeah, lots of good conversation here as well, talking about the golf coming up. Golf's coming up, PGA season. We announced it on Saturday, but I know Hoop, I hinted at a little this morning on Takedown Breakdown. We definitely have some fun stuff, very fun stuff. I'm super pumped about this upcoming PGA season. A lot of people asking questions about it. This is just one piece of it. We will have the Leverage Lane show back starting on January 14th, which is the week of the Sony Open as it comes back through. But I think it's gonna be a good golf season ahead here, Hoop. We got a lot of big things, and we're gonna wait till the first week of January to announce them in final. We're just rounding a few things up here now. But any comments on the golf stuff?
Yeah, very excited. I mean, as soon as we kick into the new year, the prize pools will be back up and big for PGA contests. Our team does a phenomenal job, and it's not just leading up to the first round. We go all the way through with the showdown stuff, and Showdown is huge, especially in this industry, because nobody's really doing good content around Showdown. A lot of the main sites, like a lot of the main sites that you go to that you're going to think about going to for PGA season, don't even adjust their projections and ownership for the Showdown rounds. They keep the same number on the same guys round 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the one thing I'll definitely say about PGA: don't just sign up for the site that you think has the best projections and ownership, because first off, they don't, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. So these sites that pride themselves on having the projections and ownership that you need for PGA DFS are lying to you, because it's not the case, and that's just one piece of the pie. So don't sign up and pay $500. I saw $600, and you're basically just getting projections and ownership. Absolutely insane to pay that price tag. This is the home for PGA DFS, and we're improving and adding on to our product. And again, this is definitely the spot to be.
Yeah, I love the improvements and add-ons on the way. As far as the other stuff, I mean, we just finished out Ship It Games. I got to give props here quickly because we haven't been on a live show since together, but we did have the round 1 of the finals yesterday with the playdown. The top 10 are moving on to the first week of the NFL playoffs to play for these 10 prizes: $1,000 for 6th to 10th cash, $1,500 for 5th, $2,500 for 4th, $5K, $10K, and $20,000. And there's other prizes that go with it, of course, as you can see there in front of you. But Thunder Nation 44, Feder 73, Mark JP9, High Topper, J Rydell, Hemo Guy, Mule 1JE, Bubba MSU, K-Dog 35A, which is a cool story because they were Golden Ship It number 50 winner, got in on the very last Golden Ship It, won their way in, and then ended up finishing in the top 10 here. And then Philly Fan 2002. So congrats to those 10. They will move on. Just a quick note. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Congrats to you guys. We'll see you. We'll get all the details out over the next week or two. But for everybody else, you will still get your prizes and credits and emails and stuff sent out to you. Just have patience. We're going to send it out to you directly, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. So everybody that's wondering, I finished 39th. It's great, but I didn't get anything yet. We'll take care of it. It's all handled in the back end, just like we've handled everything else. So thanks to everybody that supported. Hopefully it was a lot of fun for you guys along the way. All right, let's get into this, you guys. We've got, Rams at the Falcons, and Hoop, I'm going to go back to you and talk about the grand scheme overview. This is the stage, right? It looks like, bigger favorites on the road, big boy team total. The main thing here for the Rams, for those wondering, is the 1 seed's gone now, but the 5 seed's important, right? You can avoid the Eagles. You get to play the winner. We were joking pre-show about the Tampa Bay Carolina situation. Well, that's, I believe, what they get to play as long as they finish in 5th with the 5th seed. So Hoop, I'll kick it to you first. Any thoughts on that? And then just this game as a whole.
Yeah, like we talked about, not a huge game for seeding or anything for the playoff stuff. The Rams are pretty much set in the 5 seed for the most part. There are some different scenarios, but they seem very likely to be the 5 seed. And either way, they're playing in this game. I mean, it's a primetime game. Matthew Stafford's kind of, in the MVP conversation. Obviously, he wants to do well. The one thing that definitely stands out to me is, a few guys getting all the ownership at captain. It's the ones that you would expect: Puka, Bijan, and then I think probably Matthew Stafford to some degree. And then after that, I think it's a pretty big drop off. Drake London, Kyron Williams, probably some Kyle Pitts because of how well he's performed. Probably some Kobe Parkey just because the price is super cheap and you get kind of a different build when you go cheap at captain. So it's going to be very consolidated at the captain spot in terms of ownership. And we do have cheap value plays on the slate with Devontae Adams being ruled out. All these Rams wide receivers are 2,800, below 3K essentially. So we have a lot of below 3K plays that we can look to on this slate. And even guys like Algier at 3,800, probably too cheap. He gets goal line work. Blake Corum at 4,600, too cheap. I think there's a chance he even gets more work in this game as they kind of know they're rolling into the playoffs. So we have some really, really underpriced guys that will make playing Bijan and Puka at captain very easy. And that's what I think probably, I'll say 50% of the field does combine, Puka, Bijan. Puka being the number one in terms of ownership up there, and Bijan is clearly going to be 2. But when I think it's all said and done, it's probably going to be a combined 50% ownership up there. And, Stafford's probably around 10, I'd say. So, he's next in line. So if you want to throw him into that mix, it's 60% of the field kind of doing the same thing at the captain position. So that's really the main standout. You can easily get to these expensive captains because of all the cheap plays that are on the slate. Yeah.
And I'll kick it to you in a second on this title. One thing I want to shout out, our man Go Collect. I know he got into the winner's circle over the weekend, so congrats to you. Love to see that. He says, grand scheme overview, Rams smash tonight, and then rest everyone next week. That is
very likely. Yeah.
Very likely.
Very likely, yeah.
The main thing will be like, though, like Justin says here, anyone else seeing this? Yeah, I am right now. I see a lot of people 4-2s, 5-1s. Like, it's just the way it's going to set up. Title.
They don't. The winner of San Fran, Seattle has the number 1 seed, so they don't even have a chance at the 1 seed.
They lost it last night with San Francisco winning. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
One quick note on the PGA side, because people don't know this. I think by now people know we're partnered with SaberSim. There could be some more partnerships coming down the line that could be pretty exciting and maybe even exclusive. But the main thing is Winner's Circle is back. And people didn't have that last year. So for those that don't know, you can go to the site, just click Winner's Circle. You'll see all the people. We've had multiple people win the $1 million. Last year, we had another Millie Maker winner. Our guy, Star X24, won the Millie Maker in golf. But the year before was Chris, and we got an interview with him on there. But you can get in the Winner's Circle now, and you get prizes and free memberships. So if you don't know what the place to sign up is, it's the place that's also giving away, in partnership with our friends and partners at SaberSim, free gear, free memberships, all the stuff that goes with it, right up to and including a Rolex watch for the $1 million prize pool. And they'll have a bunch of them throughout the year. So lots of chances to win a millie. So I think that's just another quick note. Title, let me ask you this. How many people do you think tonight, how do you think it's possible that Puka gets over-owned in the captain from all the season longers and best ballers and everyone that are just hedging their stuff? Like, if I lose to Puka, I'm going to make sure I have him in the captain. How much of that do you think we see tonight as casual money coming in and those trying to hedge against their other spots?
I don't think it'll make up too much in the flagship, for the sense of, I think 150 maxers make up a lot of these prize pools nowadays. And I don't believe that they'll hedge that way. I think they just stick with their process and go with it. Whereas the casuals might be thrown in 2, 3, 4, and yeah, maybe they play it, but which could add up a little bit. But those lineups might not even be that good anyway. I just think naturally on this slate, we have so much value that Puka's just going to get a ton of ownership just because it's easy to fit him. He projects amazing. And I mean, he's the best receiver in football. Like, he's just a great play. So I do think he's probably higher owned than maybe we have projected and everyone has projected. I'm not sure it really has to do as much with the hedging situation. Maybe I could be wrong, but we have so much value. It is the story of the slate. I think we have Xavier Smith, Mumfield, Davis Allen, Ferguson, Algier, Mooney. They're all 4K and below. Parkinson 4.4 is really cheap. Like, it just feels like you pick a Bijan, a Puka. If you want either quarterback, I mean, Stafford, if I picked one, I don't love it though. Drake London, Kyron, and then maybe a Corum Pitts. And then play him at captain, and whoever's the highest score is probably the optimal. And then you just figure out the flex, because it's hard for me to see these mid-range and lower tier captains getting there, just because, I mean, they almost have to outscore the top guys, it feels like, which is how much value and how easy it is to fit.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because last night's slate, as we saw, I mean, you can't really fault anyone. I get the way the slate shook out with Tong's value, but it's kind of like the only value. You saw $3.99 way chops. You saw $1.99 way. Like, there was a big boy chops going on up top, because how could you avoid it? You could literally fit everything. Tong's got to almost 6% in the captain yesterday. You could fit perfect amount of Puka, of CMC, Purdy, et cetera, and it just all worked out. And then they all scored. All the guys in good spots, Loveland and Luther Burden the third, and all of them tonight. This makes for a much better slate, in my opinion, just because you don't know if it ends up being Mumpfield, Xavier Smith, one of those, like it could be any of those guys, or you might need both Corum and Algier, like how these teams operate. It could just be crazy. So I think from a MME type slate, this is a really good one, and the prizes are still there and all that. So I'm going to be going hard at this slate. And I don't know, I'm in a different mood today, so I'll just pull it up. I don't care, but like we're not going to shy away from this stuff as much, or at least I'm not in 2026. I'm excited for the year ahead. I have nothing against our competitors. They all have their own good stuff and their own way to do stuff, but I love to see this. I appreciate you, Ken. I know you with the emoji or the avatar with the googly eye guy on there, the older guy. We appreciate you, man. And you can have both. Like we made ourselves affordable so that you can sign up for both. We do talk about our business on here. It's life. That's how it works. Like, we want to grow. We started from the bottom up. All three of us right here on this show have been here from day one, pretty much, titled just behind us. And we've grown this thing together. It's been a lot of fun. We're not against these other people. We just happen to be in business against them. We think they're all great people over there. But if you see value with what we offer, we would love to have you. We know we have a great community, and we're doing a lot of fun things to try and continue to grow it. We continue to put the work in to try and build it bigger, stronger, etc. We got a lot of plans for 2026, and it will kick off with golf beyond all the stuff we've done already. So I appreciate you, Ken. That's awesome. All right, title, I'll stay with you, man. You want to start off with captain thoughts then and just sort of break it down from that perspective? I gave you the tee up with Puka and all that, but do you have other sort of spots that you can see or ways you can see it building out?
Yeah, kind of like I hinted at in my grand scheme. Because we have so much value in the flex that'll be on the field that projects solid, I don't see any reason not to play Puka, Bijan. And I mean, they're the two highest owned, the two clear ones. I still might get overweight. We're showing 27-17. Yeah, maybe. I guess I prefer, like, if Puka does get a little steam to the 30 range, that means Bijan probably has to stay around 17. I'll say Bijan, I guess, is my preferred then, just with the ownership discount a little bit. And he's game script independent. If they're getting completely blown out, you'll see Algier and they'll just throw it in. But if they're down 14 or whatever, he can catch plenty of dump offs from Kirk. He's just so good at football. And with that being said, it's a 7-point spread. I was kind of expecting like an 8.5, 9. I think the Rams are the best team in the league. If you look at futures, they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Falcons are dead. It's only 7 points. I mean, the Falcons are going to play hard. Their defense is solid. So that makes it even a little more intriguing to play the Bijan, the Pukas. After those two, I think it's just really Drake London, Kyron Williams for me. Kyron at 5%, we talk about it a lot. Like, if he is the one scoring the touchdowns, Puka chalk, he's not scoring them as much. He can still go 9 for 200 or whatever he does. But if he doesn't get the touchdowns, Kyron hurts a lot of that stuff. Stafford showing over 10%, that hurts him as well. And then Drake London on the other side, if he's getting the touchdowns, it's not Bijan on the ground. So those are my four main ones. If I added anyone else, I think Blake Corum, Kyle Pitts are fine. Corum's the one mid-tierish guy I would go. And yeah, that's just because the split has continued to narrow. Blake Corum can get 2 touchdowns. And if that's the case, could be close to the highest scorer on the slate. But yeah, it's mainly Puka, Bijan, Kyron, Drake. I'm playing the guys that I think can score 20 plus, because when we get to the flex, there's so much value.
Yeah, one of the other things too is I think that's at least somewhat interesting and maybe holds them in check, Hoop, with Bijan stuff. I know that obviously it's good on, Puka. We'll get to all these other spots, but just noting it, like the Bijan thing is, I don't think a lot of people know where to go after that. So it's holding it somewhat in check. Like, they put Bijan, but they're like, people never build 2 4s or rarely do versus what the majority do, especially of hand building. So I think a lot of people are like, well, if I put Bijan, then it gets tricky because I got to put 2 more or 3 more. Like, they start thinking about this, like, oh no, I need more Rams. So they move to the other side. What about that? And then sort of some of your other captain thoughts up top, because I do think like Bijan could come in under 20%. And if you got the stone, you can figure it out from there. But I think it's definitely an opportunity to go Bijan up top and get an overweight stance.
Yeah, I think the issue at captain is you're gonna probably just need the highest scoring guy up there because of how much value that we have on the slate. Title kind of alluded to it, and I think it's the most important talking point when looking at the captains. And we have a lot of guys on the slate. Not a lot. There's a group of guys that can just absolutely go off that we've seen all season long, just go off. And for me, I don't care what the ownership is on Puka. Like I'll find a way to get overweight on Puka. I mean, it's not like you can scheme to stop him. Like they'll get him the ball in a variety of different ways, almost like unguardable. And are the Falcons going to be highly incentivized to really slow him down? Like they're not playing for anything. So starts with Puka for me. I don't care what the ownership is. Like we're showing 20, it's probably close. We're showing 27. Saber has it at 22. It's probably like, I don't know, 32 or something. It's probably over 30. I don't really care. Like he'll definitely be my highest owned captain. And then Bijan, definitely fine. So many different ways for Bijan to get there. I mean, he had, I think 11 targets, was it last week? I mean, it's a crazy number, 11 targets in back-to-back weeks. So it doesn't matter even if they're getting their ass kicked. I think he still, has a chance to be the highest scoring guy on the slate. But for me, honestly, it does get difficult after that, even with like Drake London. I get it, but man, like still got Kirk Cousins back there. And I know he was able to get it done with Pitts last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Now it's like they got both those guys there. So I do struggle with that side. Maybe they do. The Rams say, you know what, get a little lead, and then we don't want to, injure anyone else going into the playoffs. And they do turn it over to Kyren or Corum. So for me, it's Puka. It is Bijan. It is probably Kyren, Corum, I think is fine. And then, maybe Matthew Stafford. But the problem I have with Stafford, I just feel like if Stafford has a big game, it's just all going through Puka today. Like I just can't imagine a path where Stafford goes off and Puka doesn't outscore him. So I do struggle with Matthew Stafford. He would probably be like the 5th or 6th favorite for me, but it's clearly Puka, Bijan, the Rams running backs, maybe then I'd probably put like the Falcons pass catchers and Stafford in that next tier, like tier 3, I'd say.
Yeah, the tricky part is anything can happen. It's football, but there's like almost no stopping Puka. That's the challenge. It's like everyone's going to try and do whatever. Like here's an example. Even from this game, the Falcons have nothing, but the problem is their division is worth nothing. It's what we just made fun of off the top. It's Tampa Bay and Carolina. So what's their Super Bowl? Is this game right here. Shut down the Rams and make them play somebody else. Will it happen? Probably not. But that's what they're playing for right now, is to play spoiler because they're pissed off. They're a game or whatever out of the fact that they could have been in their division game, because 6-9, it's not a horrible record for the Falcons, just horrible overall, but it's for them. They were right there close to those other teams. So I think they're going to try their best. I don't know if it's going to fully work. And that's the challenge. And a guy like Puka just gets open so easily. He's so dominant with the ball. It's too hard to guard him. So I'm with Hoop and Title on that one. Bijan, I like the fact that it's different styles of builds. You can get some 2-4s. You can get some 5-1 Atlantas if you want to get aggressive on this slate and play spoiler alert to someone. I think it was my man, Timothy Dublin, said might not be the best night for a single entry. Yeah, the thing is, I would not want to be a single entry on this slate, but if you're playing single entry tonight or you only have one lineup, I think you just simply go with the game script you feel best with and then attack that and then start comparing what versions of this game script are my favorite. If you have the Falcons upsetting them and you think it's going to be something crazy like that and the Rams lose, then you could build what does my best Falcons win lineup looks like? How do they win? Who's involved in that? At least then you just go down with the ship. If it doesn't go your way, you didn't lose, but you play your money on what you think is going to happen in the game and build accordingly because you only have one. Going back to the captains, I will say this. I just looked it up. Stafford is still minus 250 for the MVP, but man, what a performance by Drake May yesterday. That was pretty impressive stuff. I'm sticking with that. The one thing about Stafford is the builds are pretty easy. Doesn't mean you get them right. I'm saying, but to Hoop's point always, it's like, when are you involving guys like Mumpfield, Xavier Smith, Ferguson, Parkinson? Well, easy. Let me put Stafford up top. So if they're going to do anything like that, he's capable. 2, there's at least enough guys that can catch passes. And I don't know, it feels like a run right now, Title, that we've been on. But we've had Travis Etienne Jr. with Trevor Lawrence go off together for 3 touchdowns. The week after that was Burrow with Chase Brown, and then yesterday with May and Ramondre Stevenson. What if you see a Stafford with one of those RBs? You get Kyron or you get Corum in there, something like that, and then you could still put Puka because you have values like Mumfield, Smith, and they're all separator values. Obviously, if you put the most obvious version ever of Stafford, Williams, Puka, Ferguson, or so, you're going to be much more popular, but there's other ways around it, I think. So I at least have some love for Stafford up top. And then the last thing I'll say, because I'm not going to get to a bunch of these cheapies, it doesn't look like. I'll go on a rant on that in a second. But 2 seconds here. The running backs, for sure. Kyron and Corum, really, in my MME pool, because that's what leverages it all, right? If you don't have Stafford, if you don't have Nakua, if you got them getting there in a different way. We just saw Jamar Chase have an amazing start game yesterday, and then Chase Brown takes him out for 34 points to 20-something. It's like even with 2 touchdowns for Chase to start, that could be Puka, and then all of a sudden one of Williams or Corum or both start doing it, and you need him in the flex instead of the captain. So like those running backs as well. And Title, I'll flip it to you on my thing. I won't do a full tangent, just the notes on that. Like that's why a 6% Tongs captain doesn't really work great very often, because you fit all the stuff, right? So if you put these cheap captains up top and you get it right, what do you think you have in that lineup? Typically, you've got all the best plays that fit in like everybody else, and you just end up in builds of like 50 plus dupes. So I'm not sure. Like I know you handle that stuff differently than some others. Everyone handles that stuff differently. And I think some still want to protect their portfolio and like put the good lineup of it in and just say, well, that is the nuts. Like if it hits, at least I still get $3,000 because of it, or $4,000, maybe more. Who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't really I don't play that way personally. Like I was way overweight Tongs captain in the sense, well, not way, because he came in higher than I expected. But even in those lineups, like I was looking, like I played Santos over Loveland, or just because you play to be a lower owned captain that you think, or a lower price captain, we talk about it all the time. It leads people to the same builds. And there's 70,000 people in that $25 contest tonight. Like it's not enough to just play something like that. Now, Alec Pierce last Monday, when he's 0.07% up top, that's a different ball game than 6%. Then you can eat a lot more chalk after that. So yeah, for the most part, even like the Corum, the Algier, don't just leave 100 or $200. Just know what you're getting into, I should say. If that's what you want to do, sure. But if you want to eliminate a lot of dupes and still get unique, you do need to get more different than just a 5% captain and then leave all your money. I definitely don't like it on this slate, just because we have so much value.
I like the statement though. This is true. He said, but Saber, obviously however your settings were, or whatever settings you were on, all that, but this is just an example of what you said. And Go Collect followed up, said I'd rather lose with that than get a 200 dupe winner. That's what, again, to each their own. Some people are thrilled just getting the W, and $3,000 is a lot for if they only put in one entry for $20. $3,000 is phenomenal. And I'm not hating on that. I'm just saying, like, for most, people that are playing max entry all the time and all season long, and it gets expensive, the idea of winning that is just not going to do anything. So it's like way more likely to take the risk on of playing for the maximum amount versus playing for that amount. But there's nothing wrong if that's your style of play. And again, depends on a lot of different factors. So love that call out there from you. Hoop, I'll go back to you, man. Anything else you want to add now that we both all three of us have talked through it? If not, you can go further in on quarterback or go straight to the running backs, with those backups being a big talking point on this slate, I think.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really to add at quarterback. Like, definitely is as much Stafford as I can get. I mean, it seems very likely to be on the optimal team. And for me, most likely in the flex spot, Kirk Cousins, another one of these quarterbacks that probably comes in pretty low. I mean,
do you lose Hoop as well?
Yeah, he
did say he was having some issues, beforehand. So if we lose Hoop, apologies, but I'll let you take it from there, Title, if you want. And he can hop back in if he gets in, but go to the running backs. And big focus is going to be on Corum and Algier, of course, on this slate.
Yeah, and I will say for the quarterbacks, I could see myself being underweight. Cousins just doesn't push the ball down the field as much. So, like, if he throws for a lot less yards, but the ADOT's really small, like 6 catches for 50 yards, you'd rather have the pass catcher, whether that's Mooney, whether that's Pitts, London. You can leave money that way. And with Stafford, so much of it goes through Puka, like we've talked about, if he isn't getting the touchdowns through the air. So I do think no quarterback builds are interesting today as a way to get different if you are doing like 5-1 Ram stuff, which everyone's going to be doing. So it doesn't mean I won't play some 5-1 Rams, but when I do, that is a way you can get different. Running backs, Yeah, the nice thing on this slate is you have two running backs on both sides that are very viable, which spreads out ownership in the player pool a bit. Bijan, I think I prefer him at captain more than I do the flex, just hoping he fully gets there and the game stays competitive. Or if you think the Rams blow him out, I don't think Bijan's the best play because if it's the fourth quarter and they're down 21-28, we've seen it, it'll be Algier and he just won't be in the game. So if you think it's competitive, I think Bijan is really good play because I think he'd be a big reason why it is competitive. Kyron, Corum, I think both are very good for their price. I mean, they both work in a good amount. Kyron did separate, I guess, a little bit from Corum for the snap count last week, but it seems pretty game script dependent to just how the game's going. Like the week prior was almost close to 50-50. The last week it was 70-30. Regardless, though, I think both are solid, and yeah, ownership we're showing 22 in the flex, 29 Kyron. I think I can get overweight to both and feel pretty good about it. Without Devontae, we talked about it on the last Showdown show, but there's just more touchdown equity for both of them because they're not doing the 1-2 yard Devontae slant or fade route there. And then Algier, if Algier scores once or even twice, like talk about leverage off of the chalkiest guy in Bijan. So yeah, 3,800. We see random stuff happen with him all the time. I think the running back room is very strong on this slate, and I'll be playing all four definitely.
Yeah, all good. Hoop just texted us. He's resetting the router, but we got it. If Hoop can come back, that'd be amazing. If not, we'll keep it running for you guys. I love the breakdown. One thing I like, just circling back to quarterback you mentioned, I actually was toying this just before the show, so it's funny you mentioned it, is there is some nice builds you can get out there with like no Stafford in the build. Not, again, I like Stafford, but I also like him up top. He's kind of negative leverage in both spots if you look at the Stone, which I'll use the segue, but I was just noting that. So lineups with no Cousins or no Stafford and still using somebody else up top could still get there the way it gets spread around and depending on what the score of the game ends up like. So just keep that in mind. But the Stone, this is why I love it so much. If you look at both Kyron and Bijan, you see their captain optimal information and you see their flex optimal information. And I'm not going to give it away. That's what we got over at Chip Nation, but why it's the best tool in DFS, just to be able to see it. It can help you make some of those decisions, which again, you should be taking the Stone and taking that as your inputs and thoughts that you're putting in to say, okay, Saber, I like this based on my tools and data. Now help me get that. And that's the benefit of it, right? Is you kind of get it set up that way. So, like Site says, I'm putting in 20 entries in the 150 max due to bankroll, still learning the format. So a win is a confirmation I'm moving in the right direction. I've done 2 showdown chops this year and I'm thrilled. Yeah, phenomenal job. And if you can play less lineups, but build them accordingly, the thing about showdown that I always say that's a little bit different is showdown is you're way more likely to see the optimal. There's definitely slates throughout the year we don't see the optimal and we're like, holy shit, like someone didn't have the optimal today. Like that happens. It does. But not like a classic slate. Like in this type of setup, if you're playing a $1, a $3, or we've actually seen title where the $5 gets won by the optimal and then nobody in the main 20 and whenever it's 15, 18, 20, 25, whatever, the main flagship, nobody has that optimal. And then someone in the $5 is like pissed because like, damn, I wish I had this over there or something like that. So yeah, you can definitely get away with playing less if that's the case. So
I don't play I do 150 for like the Super Bowl or like the first slate if they're really big, but I've gone between like the 65 and 90 mark and I feel totally fine with it because like you're saying, when the player pool is more condensed, NBA Showdown, MMA, NFL Showdown, you only have so many guys to pick. There's only so many combinations. Like you said, if you're not taking first or you don't have the optimal most nights, you're losing money. So at the end of the day, knowing that it can get really expensive 150ing and you can be positive sim every single slate. There's still so much variance in DFS. And especially when the second place, second nuts, half the time you're still losing money with big chops. I don't think there's anything wrong. Like this is the smaller player pool stuff, I think is the one time where you're not giving up nearly as much. Whereas you're playing a milli on Sunday and people can throw in all their 150 with 140,000 people and you throw in 10, it's so much harder to win there. Know what you're getting into. You're playing 40 teams, 20 teams in 150, build your game script accordingly. And I don't think it's right to go all in on one game script, but that's why portfolio diversifiers good, like we talk about, or if you're hand building, you can build multiple scripts. So some bubbles are far left, some are in the middle, and some are in the right. And you just hope you have the right combo there. So yeah, nothing wrong in my opinion with throwing a lot less in. Bankroll management's number one. And if you've chopped twice already this year, I mean, that's better than a lot of people. That's great.
Yeah, I love that advice. And I think it's important just because the same as what people always say, if I had 500 lineups tonight, it's like, well, if you put Puka in all the captains, then it's not Puka captain that's needed. All 500 are now dead. You didn't win. It's like, so it really doesn't matter. Hoopster, I think you're back here with us, my man. You got us?
Yeah, back in action. So got a little
beautiful.
weather situation here. The internet's gone out about 5 times today, so this will be the last try. If I go out again, good luck to everyone in your contest tonight.
See you in week 18, folks.
Yeah.
All right, you were talking a little. You were about to get to, so we didn't get your take on just Kyron, Bijan in the flex, and then Corum versus Algier versus both type thing. But any thoughts further on the running backs?
Yeah, then just to finish up at quarterback, I don't know where I got cut off, but with Kirk Cousins, last time we had a low-owned quarterback, it was Phillip Rivers, and he was kind of needed and went off. So anytime you can get a quarterback at low ownership, I think it's appealing in the flex, and I think that's what we see with Cousins tonight. I don't love Cousins, don't get me wrong, but if he does come in, we're showing 25, Saber has it at 20. If he does come in around that 20% number, I think definitely appealing. In the flex position, I mean, the quarterbacks get the first opportunity, basically every single time to touch the ball. So running back situation, kind of hit on the Ram stuff already. And I think this is a game where if they do get a lead, they'd be fine taking the win and just getting the hell out of here and knowing that they're likely the 5 seed and then, probably rest some players next week and not risk any sort of injury. So I think they could lean on Kyron, but I really like Corum. I think Corum's a phenomenal play tonight. And again, it kind of goes against what I typically do on these slates, but backup running backs, I think, are very appealing on both sides, Corum and Algier. I mean, there's really nothing you need to say about Bijan. He's a great play, but they're definitely willing to use Algier and use him in high leverage positions too. And he's only 3,800. It's really bad pricing on some of these, backup / value sort of guys. Just bad pricing on Corum, I think, at 46 and Algier at 30. I think they're phenomenal plays on the slate. So that's kind of where I'm at with the running backs.
Yeah, they know it. They're catching on now. Yeah. The storm. I mean, I think Hoop has great internet. It's usually always solid, but if the storm's hitting, and I've even got similar here on the east coast of Canada, so it's part of it. Freezing rain and winds and all that stuff. But we'll move it through. We'll keep it rolling. I don't have too much to add on the running backs. I was saying to Title beforehand just how the Stone does a good job of breaking it down on the flex optimal versus the captain, and you just said it with Cousins. Popped up there again too. So if you guys aren't using the Stone, if you're a member, you've got the Stone. Go use it. If you're not a member, get in and get it, because this is where you can see different angles of attack and ways to approach. And that's how people are finding their inputs to be strong to get strong output. Shout out to Sites, who just said chopped it up twice. So congrats to you on using all the tools and putting them to your advantage. So I'll go to you here, Title again. Then we'll go to wide receiver. London expected to be good to go. Obviously Adams doubtful, and we expect it to stay that way as well. But we've got Puka and a bunch of guys behind him. We've got London, Mooney, and then find someone who loves you as much as Kirk Cousins loved David Sills the fifth, but he's in the pool as well tonight also. So give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So for the Falcons side, when they run 3 receiver sets, it's Drake London, it's Darnell Mooney, and then it is David Stills. So he's got to be in the player pool now. He played like 40% of snaps. Now, if they're trailing a lot and they have to be throwing the ball, they'll run a lot more 3 receiver sets. And if you're a receiver and you're on the field, random stuff can happen. So I'll get some, but he's clearly like the 4th target behind Bijan, behind Drake London, behind Pitts, behind Mooney. So what, that makes him 5th or something? He's clearly way down in the pecking order, but he's 2,800 and he's in a range right by Xavier Smith, Mumpfield, some of the tight ends. If somehow Stills outscores those guys, you're looking at a solo shipper or pretty close to it. Because the Rams guys will all be higher owned. Mumpfield 2,200 is probably the most mispriced player on the slate. Without Devontae Adams, they run a ton of 13 personnel, 3 tight ends. I think broke the record or something in the last 40 plus years, some insane number with how much the Rams did use 13 personnel last game. And I expect that to continue. Ferguson, Allen, Parkinson, but Mumpfield's still the guy that plays about 50% of snaps in the 2 receiver sets. He had pretty good rapport, it seemed like, with Stafford. After that, it's like Whittington getting a little bit. It's Xavier Smith getting a little bit. And I'm fine with them. I think I prefer Smith. He stretches the field a little more. But when we get to these tight ends, like all of them, I think are pretty much better plays because they're on the field a lot more. I do like Xavier Smith, though, at 2,000. I think he has the best chance to outscore Chalk Mumfield if any of these guys do. I'm also curious when I throw it back to you if you guys believe that 30% Mumfield ownership or if that can go up to like closer to 40, like we saw Tongs get a good amount of steam yesterday. Ram stuff, yeah, Puka's the man. And then, like I said, it's Mumfield, then it's Xavier Smith, and then Whittington Tutu. I don't know. They're not on the field much. Tutu, at least when he is on the field, he runs a deep route and can maybe connect on one, but I think it's clearly Smith. Mumfield is the preferred plays there. Don't love receivers. I don't know. I actually think Drake London and Mooney are pretty strong. And then depending if Mumfield is only 30%, I think he's probably one of the best plays on the slate, even at that number, because he's just way mispriced, but I'm not sure he stays that low.
Yeah, I think Mumfield certainly could be Bumpfield. He's definitely getting an ownership bump. And I mean, this 30 feels real, at least that much. And to your point, maybe could get more because at 2,200, he makes a ton work. And then we talked about it earlier with the roster constructions that we're seeing, mostly 5-1s, 4-2s. It's like what makes things work and what gets you Puka and Bijan very easily is that. So like you said, I think you got to take shots on somebody like Xavier Smith. And that's, again, going back to it, I'll keep talking about, but the Stone, they're $200 apart. Their projection is not far apart. Their only thing far apart, and even their optimals, and you can see it all, the only thing far apart is their ownership. And if we believe that to be true and possibly going even further in the direction of going up for a guy like Mumfield, then it makes it even better, actually, just to look at it and to say, again, bite the dust and take it. It's $200 less. What if it's Xavier Smith? Yesterday, I played Kyle Williams. It was Efton Chisholm was the guy for the exact same price that was right there. It happens, man, even in big time games and everything that's going on. So yeah, I think there's certainly a possibility and things like that. I do look at and I think are important for Showdown. That can make a world of difference when it comes down to if you actually get the job done. How much do you win when you are right? Your point, you always say that's the one for sure. Something like that. Hoop, what do you got at wide receiver here? What else?
Yeah, not too much to add. I will say on the Mumfield thing, I think it has to be held in check in some capacity. I mean, maybe it does come up from the 30, but there's just a lot of cheap playable guys on the slate, and people will spread it out a little bit. I mean, Mooney at 4K, you got all these other guys, Smith, Sills, Tutu, and you go to tight end, Kobe Parkinson's only 4,400. Ferguson's 34, Davis Allen, you have the backup running back. So I think it will be held in check a little bit. I don't think it will get much higher. Could be wrong. We'll see. But we do have a lot of viable guys in that range. So I think it will be held in check in some capacity. But yeah, not much more to add. I mean, like Smith and Atwell probably better suited in like Stafford captain teams, especially Atwell, because if he gets there, it's probably just like one deep bomb, and then that would mean Stafford spreading it out at least a little bit. It's not all going to Puka, so I think he's good for like Stafford captain teams. Sills, Smith, fine plays. Mooney, super frustrating, but he's only 4K, so nothing too crazy to add.
I think one thing that stands out then, based on what you said there, that makes me think of that is like it's going to depend on the Algiers and the Corums of the world. Like right now, Algier doesn't show 20% yet. And Corum shows over 20%, but not at 30. So it's like, those are the spots it would go. But again, I don't know. It just depends. But the way I'm seeing the rosters shake out, it's like you always need a 2K guy. You just need somebody down there that makes it feel so much better. And it's like a stretch. So I wonder if it is like, even with what you said, Hoop, I think it could be correct. Like he gets held in check at the current number we're at. But that means probably that those other guys also get held in check because that's sort of where it's dispersing amongst. And so that would be where some of those Corum and Algier lineups could become, more unique than you might actually think going in, even though they're still, owned enough. It's just like maybe not as many people as you think can get to them. Another thing too, I made fun of it, but like Sills 28 is tough click when there's other guys around him. But like Tompkins, all these other guys, it's your point always, Hoop, with, there's no other, it's, Kyle Pitts, it's London, it's Mooney, it's Algier. Bijan is a receiver though, right? He's got props tonight for almost 50 yards receiving as on top of his rushing props. So it's like that type of stuff adds up quickly when you're like, oh, but I got to fit some of these other guys in. Like they just do not project, not just projections for points. It's that because of that and all of it ties together, they just don't project to be on the winning lineups, right? On the optimal things like that. You're just not seeing them because there's so many other guys around them that project for just way more and seemingly would be way more likely to get there as well. So Title, anything else at wide receiver you want to add? If not, you could take us into tight end with Parkinson, Ferguson, Pitts, lots of these guys there as well. But I got nothing else to add on top of you guys at wide receiver.
Yeah, when we get to FanDuel, the receiving room looks to be like a little different over there. One of the bigger differences with like a Mooney and Mumfield price, but nothing more for that. Yeah, and man, like I mentioned, you won't see a team play 3 tight ends as much as on the field at the same time as you'll see the Rams play. Parkinson, Allen, Ferguson. And when that's the case, obviously all of them are in play. Now, even though Parkinson's the most expensive, it goes 4,400 him, 3,400 Ferguson, 2,400 Allen. Parkinson still feels like he'll be the chalkiest, like he's the most mispriced. And you can go, let's see, I always like to try and Kyle Pitts, 8.8K. Take him out and go Kobe Parkinson. I think that is very viable on this slate, which shows how much money you really can leave, 4,400. You're not giving up much in projection, like 2.5, 3 points, and you get a 4,400 savings right there. So I think Parkinson's definitely strong. Same with Ferguson. I think you can leave a good amount with him. He did get a touchdown the last game. He almost had 2. I think 1 got called back. Hoop was all over him that show. Just a rookie that they definitely trust, that has pretty solid pass catching abilities. And you're looking at the touchdown props. Again, they're always skewed in the wrong direction. I mean, they're robbing you at the end of the day, but plus 265 Ferguson, plus 310 Allen, plus 145 Parkinson. Like Parkinson's more likely to score than Blake Corum. He's only behind Puka, Bijan, and Kyron Williams on this slate. And a lot of that has to do when they're by the red zone. All 3 of them will probably be out there. And if it's a play action, they all have a decent chance to get in there. So yeah, you could play 3 tight ends on your team when it's all said and done. I'll rank if ownership's true, if Allen and Ferguson are pretty much the same owned, I'd prefer Ferguson, but I'm not sure that's necessarily going to be the case. Falcon side, Kyle Pitts is fine at 8,800. That price is definitely way up there, but ownership has to stay in check a little bit, like we're showing, just because Cousins is only 200 more, Kyron's 800, Drake London's 1K. I think people prefer all of them over Pitts at that price tag. And then a real dart throw, Charlie Warner. I probably wouldn't want to leave too much money, to get up to, I guess you could for Allen, but like Ferguson, Parkinson, I wouldn't want to leave all that money for Warner. But they ran a lot of 2 tight end sets as well. He was on the field 75% last game. And again, a lot of that has to do with blocking, but 1 random touchdown could be enough down low if you want a 1% guy in really large field stuff. But yeah, the tight ends will be on the field a ton, multiple of them.
Yeah, what do you think, Hoop? You had the Ferguson touchdown call. It was early. They took it away. They said he's still getting one. We'll give it to him on the next drive or whatever it was down the road, and they got him that touchdown. You had that call last time we played these guys. We had these guys play. But what's your thoughts today?
Yeah, I mean, same thing with him. I mean, they keep using him in high leverage situations. He almost looks like a wide receiver too. He's not like built like a tank tight end or anything. Like they play him as a wide receiver. He's 3,400. They're using him again in very high leverage situations in the red zone. I think he's, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. And if it's like, Mumford versus him, like if that ownership difference continues to grow, and I know they're not priced exactly the same, there's a $1,200 difference between the two. I want way more Ferguson than Mumfield if Mumfield is going to get into the 35% range and Ferguson stays around 20-ish, I would say. I think that's probably, we have it at 17, Sabre has it at 21. Yeah, probably somewhere in that range. Like Ferguson to me, just a phenomenal play. Parkinson just mispriced for sure at 44. He'll be very popular. But again, like, man, if Parkinson's going to have double the ownership of this Ferguson guy, like I have to lean on Ferguson in that situation. There is a $1,000 gap the opposite way. Now we're talking Parkinson's another 1,000 above Ferguson, but man, I think Ferguson's just a phenomenal play in all sorts of builds, no matter like what you're doing. Pitts at 88, like the price is a little uncomfortable, but like Title said, that'll definitely keep his ownership in check a little bit. And we saw his ceiling a couple weeks ago, albeit it was without Drake London. But I think at pretty low ownership for a showdown slate, I think he's fine. Davis Allen, 2,400, to me, better suited for Stafford captain teams. And then, if you want to throw this Werner guy in there at 1,200, I don't necessarily hate that. But for me, it's all about Ferguson again. I think the dude's legit, and they use him in a way that you would want your guy to be used if you're playing him in fantasy.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And I think that's the other thing about tonight too, is a lot of the way the pricing sets up. Like you could, if you were, depending on your style of build, and even if you have one lineup and you're building for a game script, like I said earlier, if you want Bijan, you can play Algier with it. If that's your script. If you want, Kyron's a little tougher because I like him in the captain, but it could be Kyron gets there and then you need Blake Corum later or whatever. Like it's possible, but yeah, it's a little bit trickier. But for these tight ends, I think you could definitely see, Stafford throw to Puka, Stafford throw to Parkinson, and Stafford throw to Ferguson. And that's just how it sets up. So don't be afraid at 44 and 3,400, like you have to choose it. The other thing about that is if you land on a $4,400 lineup where or 5K left and you're like thinking, let's plug in Parkinson, you could sacrifice those 4 points or whatever, 3.5, 4 points in projection and just play Ferguson and get a way lower owned version of that. If you think it's Ferguson over Parkinson, he can definitely beat him in one game tonight on this slate. So it's possible. I think that's always things that I'm looking at versus you're not doing that in too many other places, to be honest, on this slate. It's just not really possible. You're not very often at least playing like Sills over London or something, right? You're not playing Mumfield over Puka. It's with Puka or something like that. So I don't know, Title, anything you want to add at kickers and Ds? I know there's some good FanDuel stuff. Hoop we'll get to in a minute here for certain on this one, but anything else, Title, you want to add or kickers and Ds thoughts?
Yeah. I think kickers and Ds have to be pretty low owned, maybe combine some of the lowest we've seen, just for the sense of they're all priced above these Mumfields, these Fergusons, Xavier Smith, all these really live plays with projections that'll be on the field. You can get them for cheaper. So they're almost in a dead range. And I definitely prefer kickers over defenses. I think if someone's scoring like 15, it's more likely that it's going to be one of these kickers kicking a bunch. And if that's the case, when they do, that means touchdowns aren't being scored, which can leverage some stuff off there. So, yeah, I think I'll be overweight both kickers. We saw it yesterday, obviously, when 80 points are scored, a pick six isn't even close to the winner with the Bears defense. Man, if a defense is on the winner, you're looking at a lot less dupes. What games script, what game flow is it really going to be like that? I think if I'm playing Rams in the flex, like I almost Kyron or Corum, and maybe even both are fine. They're just pounding the football and it's boring that way. And then, yeah, if I'm playing Falcons D, I don't really even know what you need. Random touchdown maybe too. So I don't love that as much, but I think we see very low ownership relative to most showdown slates with both, just because of a lot of really good players that are cheaper and with solid projections.
Yeah, I like that call out. And I think, better suited for the flex by the looks of things for both, but in the right type of build, it could certainly make sense. The funny thing too was the Chicago Bears D right off the hop last night, 15 seconds in, nowhere to be found on those lineups after everybody else scored 1 million points. But it's just crazy how it always starts out. And you're like, oh, you had the laptop being tossed out the window, GIF, things like that posted in the Discord. But Hoop, any thoughts on kickers and Ds from you, my man?
Obviously Rams is a more appealing defense, but they're going to be definitely held in check because of the price tag. They're $5,200 and they're more expensive than all those Rams tight ends that look good. All the Rams wide receivers that look relatively good. They're more expensive than all those guys, more expensive than even Algier and Corum. So they have to be held in check. That's definitely the argument for them. Probably, I don't know, I'd guess Rams D around 10%-ish maybe. So, that's the only one I would play. I don't want to play Falcons defense. Not many turnovers for the Rams. They'll run the ball if they get a lead. Kickers, I think Mevis guy's fine at 5K. I'm not opposed to Zane Gonzalez, but definitely prefer the Rams kicker and defense over anything on the Falcons side.
Yeah, I was trying to look too, even if you have somebody, our man Go Collect is busy in the chat today. We appreciate you. Said nobody is mentioning London tonight. Leads me to think he gets squeezed ownership wise. Definitely think it's possible up top, like the captain spot.
Yeah, but he's 10K. 9,800. If you're playing Puka or Bijan up top, it'll dry up pretty quick. You probably only get one more spend. And is it going to be Drake London? Maybe not. I think that's a good point. I think he definitely has a chance to not only get squeezed up top, but in the flex a little bit too.
The problem is I just looked, I'm not saying that you would need to go this route. Just to give an example though, is it if you run a London captain up you want Cousins with them. Well, if you want Puka on the other side, or if you want Stafford and Puka, like you're out of money quick. Like you have almost nothing left. So it's a certain type of build for sure. But the other part of it would be is like, okay, if that's happening, well, then you can't just say like, oh, well, then I'll just go to Kyron instead or something. Yeah, that'll save you money, but does it really make as much sense? Anything can happen, of course, and could make sense, but it's just tougher to have it all shake out. So you have to really look at roster construction when it comes to that. But I like the call out for sure, and think there's definitely some meat on the bone there if it ends up being that way. London could stand out if others are spreading it around, or the score is lower, different things like that. So great point. FanDuel, Hoop, I'll go to you. This is the two I see, and then I'll let you take over. One is, where's it at here? Kyle Pitts is 8,800 on DraftKings, 8K on FanDuel. And Williams is 9,600 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel for Kyron.
Yeah, Kyron's a big one, I think. 8,400 on FanDuel, where his style of play definitely fits scoring much better than on DraftKings. That's a cheap price tag, 84. He'll be much higher owned on FanDuel than over on DK. Those cheap running backs on DK aren't as cheap. They're the cheap backup running backs aren't as cheap on FanDuel. 7,200 for Quorum, and then Algier is 7K, and then some of these cheap pass catchers as well. Mumfield 4,600, Mooney 6,200, Stills 5,400. So they continue to do a better job of pricing overall, I'd say, on these showdown slates for the most part. So the value is not as cheap on FanDuel as it is over on DK. Our Ferguson guys, 3,400 on both. I think really good play. Like David Stills is 5,400 on FanDuel. And what else? Like even Whittington is 4,200 on FanDuel. So the cheap guys are a little more expensive, but in terms of the spends, Kyron Williams definitely stands out at 8,400 on FanDuel, where again his scoring fits FanDuel. The way he scores fits FanDuel even better.
Yeah, Title, did you see anything different? I mean, some of the stuff is correlated as well, like Corum-lated, if you will, with Blake Corum being 4,600, moving to 7,200 versus the flip on the other side, like on FanDuel. DraftKings, like I said, 96 and 46, it's 5K. On FanDuel, people are just going to have that money to get to Williams. Even if they like Corum, it's going to be optimizers that get people there and things like that. But that's a hard click on a single entry for a lot of people, I'm sure, even though he could definitely be the guy for $1,200 less. Anything else like that you saw, or anything else that stood out?
Yeah, not really, you guys. The backup running backs being way priced up, and like the Mumfield, he's 400 less than Parkinson, whereas it's 2,200 difference, I believe it was on DraftKings, or like the Whittington, the Stills. So that's going to lead to like what value is appropriately or mispriced. Davis Allen at 2,200, I think will be a lot more popular on FanDuel just because there's really no one else. Like Charlie Warner is the only one that will be on the field a little bit right below. And then Xavier Smith, 3K, Ferguson, 3.4. I think that's where a lot of people will go for the value because they're cheaper than the Mumfield, Stills, Mooney. So, yeah, it's actually a pretty different slate on FanDuel relative to DraftKings.
Yeah, Ferguson's a good call, too. Same price, both sites. And the other point you made, too, like Sills is more on FanDuel than Parkinson. On DraftKings, it's nuts. It's 2,800 versus almost 5K versus it's 5K versus 5,400.
You think 5-1's popular on DraftKings? I mean, 5-1, 4-2 on FanDuel's like it's going to be mega popular because all those fringe Algiers, Mooney, Stills, like they're priced up insane amount. And I think kickers might be a little more popular on FanDuel as well, just because of better pricings. Yeah, FanDuel's done better, to be honest, on Showdown. I don't know if you want better pricing or worse pricing, though, just with the amount of money you can leave and all of that. So I truly don't know the answer to that. Main slates give me better pricing all day long. So, yeah. Interesting.
That is interesting. I would say based on my results this year, I like the DraftKings pricing better. But maybe it is because certain things, like people just get so fixated on something like the Brock Bowers slate, I remember. Obviously, he's Brock Bowers, and it was 8K. I get it, but it was like that was really the argument, was he's 8K. And so it just gets decided by a price point that he's too cheap, and therefore he has to be 25% of the captain, but it doesn't always work out that way, and he can easily have a bad game, and then that's why it's awesome. But yeah, I like the pricing on DraftKings. It is such a different slate, though, over on FanDuel. Title, any other final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
No, I mean, even if you're not that excited for Rams Falcons, 7-point spread was closer than I expected. And yeah, it'll be a little over a month and we'll have no football for a long time. So I'm going to enjoy every single one of these. And hey, we got Hoop for the important thing. And he already said his good luck to everyone if he left.
He bailed on the outro, man. He didn't want to give his final thoughts, but he did earlier. Like you said, he gave him the good luck. So yeah, really appreciate everybody. Hopefully you had a good holidays, or if you're still celebrating, that's awesome. Let's see. We'll get him back in one more again. There he is. There he is.
I just wanted to wish everyone good luck and happy New Year. I'll leave it at that because very fragile.
Yeah, exactly. Called a shot earlier. Thank you to Hoopster, and thank you guys all for watching. As Hoop said, definitely wish you a happy New Year. Make sure you stay safe. Don't drive if you're drinking, please. No, don't want to be the PSA rant, but certainly something if you can control it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. So appreciate everybody. Make sure to hit the thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. A ton of new stuff coming in the new year. We'll be back on, I think Friday is next up with Title and Hoop. Going to break down the 2-gamer for Saturday for Title, for Hoop partly here, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.